Welcome to Vibrational Revelations. I'm Elena.
I am Alejandro.
And thank you so much for being a part of our YouTube Vibrational Revelations community. We absolutely enjoy having you join us here on a weekly basis. We look forward to your interactions and comments. And for a lot of the episodes, just so you're aware, we have our comments turned off. So if at any point you want to reach out, just know that you're welcome to also join Vibrational Revelations membership community. This is where we are interacting live on a weekly basis with our beautiful community from around the world. In the meantime, please make sure that you download the scale of consciousness, which goes into description of what each level of frequency means, and the link is posted below. Also, we do have a link to our Vibrational Revelations analysis breakdown, right? So it goes into the description of what does each aspect mean. So hopefully that will support your journey of awakening, exploring, and trying to understand the nature of our reality. Now, this is going to be a full episode in our Vibrational Revelations membership community. And for those of you that are joining us on YouTube, we're only giving you a small portion of it. So to see the full episode, make sure that you join the community at any time. Now, the episode today is going to be called Wild, Wild Country. And it's based on a series on Netflix about Osho, Sheela, and the Rajneeshpuram community, or the town, between 1981 and 1985. So here are the things we're going to reveal to you on the YouTube video, and then we'll list everything that's going to be listed or revealed in the Vibrational Revelations membership community. And here's the list for YouTube. We're going to reveal Wild, Wild Country series, collective consciousness of the Antelope Oregon between the year of 1981 and 1985. I believe from the series they talked about there was a community of no more than 50 people. So we're going to reveal to you the mindset of that community at that time.
The Wild, Wild Country series, you can actually find it on Netflix.
On Netflix, yes. The next person we'll reveal to you today is Anand Sheela, then Jane, Stork, and Philip Toelkes. And for the full episode, we're going to also reveal the rest of the list is Charles Turner, Devaraj, Prem Hasia, George Meredith, Osho, and the collective consciousness of Rajneeshpuram community between 1981 and 1985. So first, let's dive into the Wild, Wild Country Netflix series, their overall vibrational frequency. So for those of you that are brand new, perhaps some of you have already watched this. The overall vibrational frequency is 200, and 200 is the level of courage. Again, we're using the scale of consciousness, using the scalar wave technology to get all these results. The integrity of the series is 79%. So now we're going into percentages. Clarity is 90%. Alignment with divine purpose is 91%. And alignment with the mission of the series is 100%. Transparency of this series is 100%. Now let me reveal to you the collective consciousness of the community, the human collective of the community in the Antelope, Oregon, between the years of 1981 and 1985. And at that time, it was a frequency of 100, which is fear. And it's fascinating. Actually, if you watch the series, you can feel so much fear in the local people, right? So for them to accept a new type of community, new type of people with a different mindset, it was a big challenge to overcome. They had a lot of fear. So perhaps you want to go into I'll reveal Philip's at the end. Okay. Philip Toelkes.
So Jane Stork, I'm going to reveal her frequencies.
Yeah, and Jane was the former follower of Rajneesh.
Who's known as Osho. And this is from 1981 through 1985, as of how
Rajneesh
she,
was
to
the
understand
movement. Yeah.
the movement. To understand how she processed the information, right?
Yeah, again, those 5-year time period.
Her overall frequency at the time was 50, which is the level of apathy. She was she incarnated at the frequency of 310, which is the level of willingness. And she was born at the frequency of 50, the level of apathy. She viewed the aspect of health through the lens of apathy at 50. Finances, 50. Creativity, 100, level of fear. Relationships, 50. Personal growth, 200. Philanthropy, 50. Intuition, 50. And within intuition, we also measure clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, and claircognizance. And they were all at 50, which is the level of apathy again. Now, under the aspect of intelligence, we have IQ at 175. That is the level of pride. EQ, the emotional quotient, is at 50, level of apathy. SQ, 200, level of courage. And AQ, the adversity quotient, is 50, level of apathy. Now, we go into percentages from 1 up to 100%. In the joy, 60%. In the ego, 100%. And 100% of that was the inferior version of the ego. In the now, 56%. Integrity, 63%. Integrity to self, 83%. And integrity to others, 46%. Self-awareness, 56%. Clarity, 88%. Alignment with divine purpose, 47%. Alignment with personal purpose, 94%. Compassion, 75%. Empathy, 76%. Energy purity, 64%.
And she actually, before we reveal her number now, I just wanted to say that she was so out of alignment at that time. She was actually the woman that took the syringe and tried to kill the doctor, Osho's physician, in the community. She injected him. Of course, he recovered and he's fine, but, or he was fine afterwards. So she absolutely pleaded guilty to that, right? And admitted that. So yeah, she was completely out of alignment.
Now, her overall vibrational frequency as of today is 200. That is the level of courage. So
that's beautiful. Yeah, we wanted to give that information to you guys of what was happening then and where the person stands right now.
Exactly.
And she's been able to shift.
Next is Anand Sheela, who was Osho's secretary at the time, right?
She was the spokesperson.
1981 and 1985. Her overall frequency was 50, level of apathy. And again, this is from 1 up to 1,000, right? She incarnated at the frequency of 310. That is the level of willingness. And was born at the frequency of 100, level of fear. She viewed the aspect of health through the lens of apathy at 50. Finances, 200, level of courage. Creativity, 125. That is the level of desire, unfulfilled desire. Relationships, 50. Personal growth, 50. Philanthropy, 50. Intuition, 125. Within intuition, we have clairaudience at 50, clairsentience, 125, clairvoyance, 200, and claircognizance at 50. Under the intelligence aspect, we have IQ at 200, level of courage, EQ, 50, SQ, 400, that is the level of reason, intellect.
So that was her ability to be also a magnetic persona, right? Because she had this.
She was very comfortable in social settings, right?
Yes.
AQ, the adversary quotient, is 50, level of apathy. Now we go into percentages. In the joy, so how much she was enjoying the role that she played in this reality as Ma Anand Sheela.
At that time again.
At that time between 1981 and 1985. It was at 81%. This is from 1 up to 100%, obviously, right? In the ego, 100%. And 100% of that was the superior version of the ego. In the now, 77%. Integrity, 65%. Integrity to self, 96%. Integrity to others, 48%. Self-awareness, 67%. Clarity, 94%. Aligning with divine purpose, 66%. Alignment with personal purpose, 100%. So very similar to
Jane Stork.
Jane Stork, right? When it comes to being out of alignment with their divine purpose and being a lot closer to being in full alignment with their personal purpose.
She was 100%.
And in the case of Sheela was at 100%. Compassion, 60%. Empathy, 82%. Energy purity, 69%. And often we have found that someone that has 100% in the ego and then 100% of that in the superior version of the ego, with low numbers under the compassion aspect, tend to have narcissistic tendencies.
And low in relationships as well.
Having low in relationships definitely was more than likely her behavior at the time. You know?
Mm-hmm. And her frequency now?
Her frequency now is also 200, the same as Jane Stork.
Yeah, they actually had the same incarnation frequency, 310.
With the difference that Sheela was born at the frequency of 100 and Jane was born at the frequency of 50.
So good for them for overcoming those challenges and growing and evolving, right?
We haven't checked the rest of the numbers for them when it comes to what they're currently experiencing.
But just overall snapshot.
But we just give you the overall level of consciousness that they're experiencing, right?
Yes. So let me give you the last person for our YouTube community, and that is Philip Toelkes. And Philip Toelkes, you'll see, of course, was a really important character during the time. He became at one point the mayor of Rajneeshpuram town, and later on, when Osho was on trial, he was his attorney. So his overall frequency at that time between 1981 and 1985 was 500, the frequency of love. He incarnated at the frequency of 350, which is acceptance. And he was born at the frequency of 50. So this is actually a phenomenal example for those of you that had questions to us. Many times we're asked that, can somebody go from being born at 50 into higher vibrational frequencies? And in this case, Philip is a great example of someone that had to overcome a lot, and he was fully committed to himself, right? He went from 50 to 500, which is remarkable. The other person we publicly revealed was Russell Brand, who went from 30 to the frequency of 500. So here's a great example. Health at that time Philip viewed through the lens of love, which is health is body, mind, and soul connection. So for him, it was a flow state. Finances, he viewed through the lens of courage, 200. Creativity, I always say creativity is all about what inspires you. And when you feel inspired, how do you take action, right? It's allowing yourself, when you want to go into higher frequency, to be playful and imaginative. And in his case, he had a frequency of love, 500. Relationships, he also viewed through the lens of love, 500. Personal growth, he viewed through the lens of peace, 600. Philanthropy, the art of sharing and giving, 250. Neutrality. Intuition. So intuition is about how much does he trust, or did he trust the information he received, the messages he received, and when it came through, what filter did he process this information with? And filter being the frequency filter. And for Philip, it was a frequency of 500, love. And under the 4 aspects of intuition, clairaudience, which is receiving messages through hearing, and that's 400, reason. Clairsentience is feeling in the body and trusting that. And he did at the frequency of 500. Clairvoyance is receiving visual messages. And that is 500 for him, or it was at that time. And claircognizance is your inner knowing. And for Philip, it was the frequency of 500, love. Now looking into his aspects of intelligence, how he viewed IQ, the intellect, he viewed through the lens of 310, willingness. EQ, the emotional intelligence, was at 500. I actually set to 100. That's very beautiful. Like we rarely see EQ at 500 because we always talk about how emotional intelligence is far more superior than the intellect. And he absolutely is a compassionate, right? Truly compassionate person, allowing for that divine intelligence to flow through and guide him, right? Through the lens of love. SQ, social quotient. How did he do in social settings? And for him, it was a frequency of love, 500. Again, this brought out his magnetic persona. AQ, the level of adversity. And this is something we inherit as children. It's ancestral patterns. And of course, all of us can overcome lower frequencies if we inherit them, right? Whether it's fear or apathy. But in his case, at that particular time, his AQ was 200, the level of courage. He enjoyed his role 90%. He was in his ego 75%. And out of that, 72% inferior ego. And just so you know, these are very unusual numbers for lawyers. And I'll say we actually read a couple of judges, believe it or not, in one of our episodes, yes, in our community. So if you want to know which judges had really high frequencies, definitely tune in. In the now, how present he was and connected to himself, 91%. Integrity, another very unusual aspect. His integrity was at 100%. This is what you hope every attorney has, right? And his integrity to himself was 100%. Integrity to others, 100%. Remarkable. Self-awareness, how aware he was of his inner and outer world, 92%. So again, this shows that this is someone who was fully committed to personal growth, right? Clarity, how clear he was about his vision of and his mission in life, and it was 100%. His alignment with divine purpose at that time was 100%. His alignment with personal purpose was 100%. Compassion, 100%. Empathy, 100%. Energy purity, 100%. And of course, we had to measure what dimension he was in. Some of the other characters we just revealed to you previously had frequencies below 200. So they would not qualify to be in the 5th dimension, right? They were existing or operating from lower dimensional realms. Now, in the case of Philip Toelkes, at that time, between 1981 and 1985, he experienced the 6th dimension 38% of the time. So it's very beautiful. And of course, we had to check his frequency as of today. So Philip, if you're listening, your overall frequency as of today is still 500. Love. So good for you. And
you can also feel it when you watch him.
yes, his
right?
true compassion and love, and
when he
the
shares his
feeling
experience and what he felt and how he was viewing the whole
situation.
picture and situation is definitely remarkable. He was making decisions from
His heart.
a well-balanced and centered place, you know, from his heart. Yes.
So make sure you stay tuned or you join Vibrational Revelations membership community to find out the overall vibrational frequencies of Rajneeshpuram community, the collective consciousness at that time, Osho's vibrational frequency at that time, and a couple of other characters. One of them was Turner.
District Attorney also.
Yeah, the District Attorney of Oregon. I think it was Charles Turner. We've got a few. Oh, and Mar Prem Hasia also, right? She was the Hollywood celebrity who also at one point became at the end Osho's secretary and spokesperson for the community. So in the meantime, we thank you for being here with us. Thank you for exploring with us. And hopefully you'll be able to watch the series and give some of your feedback. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.